You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
It used to be that calling a film a turkey was an insult. Nowadays, there's actually an audience for some of the worst movies ever made.
Baby, you are gonna go broke showing turkeys like these.
Now we're talking turkey.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker.
It's turkey time. Gobble, gobble.
And welcome everyone to Let's Talk Turkeys, Movie Miss. I'm here with Nikki Flicks. And we're talking, we're talking a bad movie today. We love it, but it is considered a bad movie. Jaws: The Revenge from 1987.
Instinctively, man has always been drawn to the sea. Its beauty, its mystery, its secrets. But there is also a vague uncertainty, a sense of intrusion into an alien world, where man is unwelcome and completely at the mercy of the most terrifying predator on earth. Man's deepest fear has risen again. Jaws: The Revenge. This time, it's personal.
We're going to do a special guest today on this episode. I'm pretty excited to have him here. It is Martin. He is the admin of the Amity Jaws group on Facebook. And that is actually how I met him when the group was established in 2018. And the reason he is our special guest today is because his disdain for this motion picture is no secret among the people that know him. So everybody, please give a warm welcome to Martin.
Thank you. I'm very, very happy to be here to discuss my disdain for Jaws: The Revenge. Yes.
I think probably every movie critic and every person who analyzes film in general will agree with Martin that this is one of the biggest turkeys of all time. It's on every top 10 worst movies ever list I've ever seen.
Well, yes. And to that point, let me give you a couple of quick stats and then we'll dive into the conversation. It has a runtime of 92 minutes, directed by Joseph Sargent, who was actually a 4-time Emmy winner, if you can believe that.
No, I can't.
The critic score for this movie on Rotten Tomatoes, out of 38 critics, y'all, 0%.
That's generous.
Deservedly so. Mm-hmm.
And the audience score, not much better, at 15. So there is that. So stars Lorraine Gary coming back as Ellen Brody. Lance Guest, Mario Van Peebles, and Michael Caine round out the top cast of characters. Budget of $23 million, shockingly. Box office of almost $52 million, which was actually the lowest of the franchise.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive in. For anybody who hasn't seen Jaws: The Revenge, quick plot recap is Chief Brody's widow believes that her family is deliberately being targeted by another great white shark set on personal revenge.
Mm-hmm. So plausible.
I think that's all we need to say. I think we can wrap it up.
Yes.
And thank you everybody for being on.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. This movie is totally implausible, and good night.
Well, you know, I was surprised, honestly, to find out that they had the balls to ask Roy Scheider and Richard Dreyfuss if they wanted to be in this.
Right.
Well, I think Dreyfuss's part was going to be literally a phone call. I don't think he was going to even have any screen time, which is amazing.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And I believe.
Imagine how bad the script looked on paper before this even became a movie. How bad it must have looked for Richard Dreyfuss to say, "You want to pay me to make a 5-minute phone call? No, thanks."
Yeah.
No, I'll pass. Hard pass.
Well,
That's easy money.
yeah. They wanted Roy Scheider to actually be the Sean part of the beginning of the movie. They wanted Roy Scheider's character to be the first kill.
That's right, which is an absolute insult, I think. You know, I mean, outside of Jaws, Roy Scheider had a very, very successful Hollywood career. So that's almost an insult to injury.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also a little tidbit for anybody who maybe doesn't know, Lorraine Gary was married to Sid Sheinberg at the time, the CEO of Universal. And he asked her the year prior to this for her birthday, what would you like? And she said, another Jaws movie.
Probably flippant and sort of joking. And then, yeah, he had the gall to go ahead and make it happen.
Well, okay. Last bit of technical information, Martin. You might have an opinion on this. Nominated for 7 awards. They were Golden Raspberries.
Yes,
I was gonna say they were probably Razzies, weren't they?
Yeah.
But it did win for worst visual effects. So.
Again, no surprise whatsoever.
All right. So, one last little. I hate to bring up something sad in this, but let's get it out of the way real quick. The little girl who played Thea Brody,
Judith
Mike's
Barcy.
daughter, Judith Barcy, did pass away a year after this movie was released in 1988. So, yeah, there is that. I feel like we have to mention that because somebody would let us know we glossed over it if we didn't.
Right.
So that was really sad.
She's one of the more endearing things about this movie to me. She was just,
isn't she,
a little dream walking around. She just was so cute. And she voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time. So I remember as a kid recognizing her as the voice of Ducky and vice versa, the little girl from Jaws the Revenge. And I just thought she was an absolute doll. It's very sad what happened to her.
Agreed. All right, so let's jump in to this gem of a movie.
Let's dive in. The water is warm in the Bahamas.
That's right.
Well, we actually don't start in the Bahamas, though. We open with the ominous underwater shark POV shots, the traditional theme. And to be honest, first time watching, like if you don't know what this is going to be, you get kind of psyched. You're like, ooh, shark movie, Jaws music, creepy, you know?
Yep. Nighttime in the dark POV shot, Jaws theme. I hear it. Yep.
Yeah, except I will have to say, what is going on with the trash disposal problems they're having in Amity? Because the underwater shots, there's tires, trash, chunks of cement. It's so terrible.
And those opening credits look like a Lifetime movie. The font, the color, it doesn't, you know. And I'll be perfectly honest. I've seen this film probably 3 times, compared to countless times for the original Jaws. But the memories are so vivid with this movie because it was that bad for me. But I do remember just thinking the credits, the opening credits, the way they looked, the font, the style was almost a made-for-TV movie.
You know what's really funny is as I was rewatching this last night, my almost 20-year-old daughter was in the kitchen making dinner, and she was watching the opening credits with me, and she goes, "Is this movie the reason they stopped doing opening credits altogether? Because this is awful." And I thought, you know what, you might be onto something. The opening credits sort of died off after this movie. Maybe this movie instigated that, because Martin is 100% correct here. The credits are god awful to look at. Yep.
And it was distracting, like I said, seeing all this trash on the seafloor. I was like, where are we? Is this like a lake in Detroit? Like, what is happening?
Are we sure we're not back in Chicago and Ramon the alligator's coming?
Alligator.
Because this looks pretty trashy for Amity.
I will also say too, the opening, you get this awesome, fun, Christmassy holiday vibe when they start showing everybody walking around and stuff. I was excited. Again, before I knew what the rest of the movie was going to be, because it gives you that happy feeling when you see Christmas, I think.
I agree. And I think
Oh, yeah.
that's the idea, is to set up a warm, fuzzy family reunion holiday situation. Like, oh, here's Ellen, you remember her? And here's Sean, how cute. He followed in his father's footsteps. They still live in this quaint little town. Just setting all that up, giving you the warm fuzzies. And I think Christmas was probably a tactical decision in order to do that.
Well, you know, Amity is a summer town and they need summer dollars. So the Christmas thing, I'm not so sure about.
Right? Yeah, they're spending an awful lot of money on Christmas celebrations for a town that is a summer tourist destination.
They are. So let's take a moment just to appreciate the costume designer for this film. I feel like Ellen Brody's character alone kept whoever invented shoulder pads in business.
Yes.
The sweaters, the hair, everything reeks of 80s Lifetime movie. Like you said, Martin, it's so dated looking.
Right.
That's the thing. I mean, you can go back to 75 to the original Jaws, and it is dated because it's 45, 46 years old, but the whole look and feel of the original Jaws, you know, you're talking about a movie that's 12 years before Jaws the Revenge, and it just looks better. I mean, obviously Joseph Sargent is not Steven Spielberg, right? So, I mean, there's a lot to be said for that.
Right. I was going to say Steven Spielberg has a knack for creating a timelessness quality on film that I don't think any director who tried to follow him in the Jaws series was even thinking about. How do we make this movie timeless? I don't think they were concerned. Clearly, yes, the shoulder pad situation for Lorraine Gary is quite real.
I mean, what was their budget on shoulder pads? It had to be a lot, right?
What did you say the budget was, the original budget? 52, did you say 20 something million?
Yeah, it was quite a bit for 23 million.
So 22 million, and that was on shoulder pads, I'm sure.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, I got to ask you guys this, because this is great. I've seen this movie a million times, and in this last rewatch, I noticed something really bizarre. When we introduce Mike and his Michael living in the Bahamas, it's via phone call to Ellen and Sean at their home. And at their home, they're cooking in the kitchen. And for a moment on the refrigerator, you can clearly see a piece of paper like with a magnet, and it's a picture of the Titanic. Why there's a picture of the Titanic on their refrigerator? Is that foreshadowing for the end of the movie?
Never noticed that, and probably never will, but that's a good catch.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's either like foreshadowing for the end of the movie or foreshadowing for what would happen to this movie critically. I don't know. Could be either or. Maybe the director was well aware in that opening shot, like, this movie is a turd. It's gonna sink like the Titanic. Let's just put that out there so people will lower their expectations. 2 minutes in, let's get those expectations down.
Right. I just thought it was weird. Like, who has a picture of the Titanic? And it looks like it was printed off of a computer also, like just somebody drew it. It's bizarre.
Wow. Yeah.
But okay, so I love this little tidbit, you guys. We get to see right before the tragedy of what happens to Sean, we get to meet his fiance because they're leaving. They meet Ellen at her job, leaving for the night, and it's Brody Taft Real Estate. And Mrs. Taft is there saying goodbye to them at the door.
That's right.
I laughed because, again, rewatching it 500 times because, you know, I kind of secretly love it. I never picked this up. When they're leaving, Mrs. Taft says to her in voiceover, "Why do you get to leave?" And Ellen says, "Well, because my desk is closer to the door." And Mrs. Taft yells, "I don't think that's funny."
That's amazing.
How perfect is that?
Yeah.
Wasted in this movie.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie should have just been Christmas in Amity.
Well, you know, that's a great point, and you may be getting to this, so I may be jumping the gun a little bit. But my problem with this, I have many problems, but my main overriding issue with this film is that it has Jaws in the title. If it was called, like you said, Christmas in Amity or Shark in the Bahamas or something other than Jaws, then I would have enjoyed it as a silly shark movie. But the fact that it's part of the franchise really is a really big sticking point for me. That's probably my overriding issue. I mean, I've got 100 other things I could tell you that bother me about the film, but my overriding thing is it's called Jaws, and it looks like, you know, a bunch of 15-year-olds made it for $25.
While on
Agreed.
vacation in the Bahamas. Yes.
Right.
Agreed. All right, so we'll skip ahead here to Sean following in his father's footsteps, and then he ends up going out onto the water and he dies. The shark gets him. And what I actually thought was a pretty decent, scary death scene for any movie in general.
Agreed. I agree with you on that. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, if they had stuck with that style and tone, this might work a lot better, because we'll get into it later on. But yeah, the quick shots of the shark in the darkness, confusion, and you just blood, and you're not quite sure what's happening. Effective.
And he sells the
creepy
shit out of it, I thought.
Yeah, whoever that actor is, it sells it, definitely. It stuck with me as a kid as pretty damn terrifying. It still sticks out like, wow, right out the gate, you're going to kill what I thought was going to be a main character. That's the first time I remember seeing that in a quote unquote horror movie. So that idea was cool to me. And I think it works pretty damn well. At the fact that all these people are right here and can't hear him, that's terrifying.
Wait, I got to interrupt you. Okay, that's Mitchell Anderson, first of all, who's playing Sean Brody. But
good job.
Are you trying to say that Wes Craven and Scream stole killing a main character in the opening of a movie from Jaws: The Revenge?
No way. No, not in any capacity. Not at all.
Because it kind of feels like that's what you're going with.
No. It's the first time I remember as a kid seeing a movie and thinking, oh, here's one of the main characters. Oh, there he goes. What Wes Craven did, no, we let's do a whole other discussion about that.
Hatred for the movie aside, Martin, did you feel anything when Sean died? Were you feel like it was a good scene?
I think of the movie, there's probably the best scene, but that's like saying, well, I don't really want to say.
I get it. It's polishing a turd. I get it.
Yeah. It's basically polishing a third. I mean, I think as well, they didn't really. Yeah, okay, it's Sean. He's one of the main characters. He's been there since he knows the Muffin Man. He's been there since the beginning. I feel like we could have had a little bit more time with him to really get back to his character, because it felt a bit disjointed. Now I'm coming at this from a different angle. I saw this movie when it came out in '87, and then I've seen it twice since, and once was last year, and it was as bad as I remember. So I think of the whole movie, that probably was the best scene, the best kill scene anyway.
That's something. Something.
I still don't like it though.
And that's why you're here, sir. It's okay. We won't judge. Well, maybe a little.
Look, that's okay. I can take it.
All right, so after Sean dies, we have the funeral. I did love the touch. Again, all this amity in the first 10 minutes of having Mrs. Taft, Mrs. Kintner, Polly, all there for Ellen, pulling for her in her time of grief. I did like that.
But to me, that's and I'm jumping all over here. So if I need to be quiet, just tell me. But to me, that's a cheap, not a throwback, because yes, we remember Mrs. Kintner, we remember Mrs. Taft. So it's like, oh yeah, there's the people from the first one. This must be a good film, but it's not. It's the same thing. And this is one of the things that really annoys me. And I'm sure you'll get to it when they try to imitate the scene later in a movie with Michael and his daughter, and it's a complete rip-off of Brody and I guess it was Sean in the first movie. It was done so effectively in Jaws. And then it just felt like just a rip-off to do that in Jaws with the Revenge, to me at least.
No, I'm with you. Actually, it felt like they were trying to pepper as much nostalgia for Jaws in this to get people invested.
I think you said it better than I did. Yeah, I think they played on the nostalgia of the original. I think that's perfectly said.
Yep. And then at the funeral, Ellen, while they're standing there, even has a flashback, and she starts smiling and laughing because she's remembering the scene of Brody and little Sean doing the imitation.
Yes.
At the funeral. They start that right away.
And I agree with Martin. It's heavy-handed. It's pandering. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I get that on the surface, maybe the screenwriter had the idea, like, isn't it sweet to see that Martin lives on through Michael and that he is the same kind of father Martin was, and that's nice. But then they went, well, Universal let us use this footage, so let's just go for it. Let's throw it in as much as possible. In fact, hell, let's recreate the whole scene because we're not going to get sued. Universal said it's fine.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
All right, so enough of the Amity nostalgia nonsense. I've got my Bahama Mama drink here in hand, ready to go. Let's fly.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's go to the Bahamas.
It's 2:30 where you are. What's this day drinking business?
This is just in celebration of you being here in this tremendous motion picture we get to discuss.
Yes. Bahama Mamas for everyone.
That's right. So
I'll take mine without the pineapple, however, because I'm allergic.
I'm sending it over.
Okay, thank you.
So let's fly with Hoagie on his little plane to the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
I actually find controversial, but I find Michael Caine lovely in this film. I love Hoagie. I would love to have a Bahama Mama with Hoagie sometime. Maybe that's just me.
Well, Michael Caine is a world-class Oscar-winning actor. I mean, Lorraine Gary, yeah, she's had a career, but and I hate to say it's a bit controversial, maybe because her husband was Sid Sheinberg and he could pull a few strings. I mean, this film got made, as you said at the beginning, because I think he wanted a vehicle for his wife. She didn't really have a big career outside of the Jaws franchise.
That's true.
Say Lance Guest, another good actor. Mary Van Peebles. But these are not Michael Caine caliber actors, right?
Right.
Okay, agreed.
In my opinion, Michael Caine, he is here. His character is here clearly only to advance and serve Ellen's story, which, whatever. Why do you have Michael Caine playing this character if that's all he's here for? But then Michael Caine himself, he is there because someone said, do you want money to come to the Bahamas for 3 months? And he said, yes, that sounds lovely. And that's why he's there. He could stand there and walk around reading the phone book, and it would be interesting to watch because he's Michael fucking Caine.
Right.
No, I'm glad you said that because I was going to throw this in later, and I'll throw it in now real quick. He was quoted, and I watched the YouTube interview with him to make sure I got the quote right. He was offered $1.5 million for about 2 weeks of work in the Bahamas.
2 weeks.
And about a month later, he was called in for reshoots on the lot soundstage where the big water tank is, Nick. So that's probably where the rest of the time went. But his quote is, I have never seen the film, but by all accounts, it was terrible. However, I have seen the house that it built and it's terrific.
Yes. Yeah. Who wouldn't show up in the Bahamas for a 2-week vacation and get paid over $1 million to do that? I mean,
in 1987, $1 million is a lot of money today. 30 odd years ago, $1 million, well, $1.5 million is, I mean, that's a chunk of change.
Yes,
right?
And he actually missed the Oscar ceremony to pick up his Oscar for Hannah and her sisters.
Yeah.
Because he was busy doing the reshoots on the terrible ending that turned into an even worse ending.
So let's throw in some more silly stuff here. We get to the Bahamas, and Michael's wife, Carla, is a welder by trade.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say it. Don't say the line.
What? He's always wanted to make love to an angry welder.
I mean, come on, that's just...
Oh, that's that's terrible. But what I was going to say about it, though, was her sculpture looks shockingly like something. I can't put my finger on it. It looks like something. Shark, maybe?
Pretty sure instead of making an actual sculpture, they just took like part of the innards of the ridiculous shark they had and painted it red.
But how pathetic of an attempt. Like, it's obviously a shark. Like, how stupid, really?
Yeah.
And then
yeah, I don't remember the sculpture because it's been this is not a movie I've seen many times, but yeah, that would about be in keeping with my feeling of the movie. A little bit of making the sculpture look like a shark. That just seems to be about right.
Yeah,
pandering.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't have been so egregious, I think, except for the fact that at the end, when they're unveiling it on the beach, the mayor or whoever it is says something like, we asked her to make a statue that represents life in the Bahamas.
Yes.
So Life in the Bahamas is about sharks?
No, it's about a giant face that resembles a shark and is very pointy and should probably not be on the beach because it's dangerous. There's so many problems with this. But okay, so we've arrived in the Bahamas, and yes, Michael's wife, yada yada. Can we please get to what I have been dying to discuss, which is Mario Van Peebles as Jake, the walking Jamaican caricature stereotype? Can we please get to this?
That was my next bit, was we meet Michael's best friend, Jake, who's also working with him on their PhD.
Mm-hmm.
He does seem to give 1,000%. With the accent, he commits.
Well, sure, but nobody ever said, well, I'm sure somebody did, but I never said Mario Van Peebles is a bad actor or he's bad in this movie. No. I think it's the material he was given and he went for it with gusto. However, he had to be walking around going, oh my God, every Black person on the planet is going to see this. And I'm a little bit terrified of what they're going to think. This is a walking stereotype caricature of the people in the Bahamas. And yeah, he got a paycheck. I'm sure that's why he was there too.
Did you notice that every hat he had on, when he did have a hat on, said Bahamas in some way on it?
Yes.
In case we forgot where we were.
Yes, I live in Southern California and I walk around wearing a t-shirt that says I heart LA every day. And people love it.
What did you think of Jake, Martin?
Well, no, not much, to be honest. It was a pretty blatant caricature of, you know, not even a Bahamian person. It's a Jamaican person. So I guess you could be Jamaican, moved to the Bahamas, but I guess everybody, you know, if you're an actor, even if, you know, of Mario Van Peebles and Lance Guest, if you get a script, if your agent gives you a script and it says Jaws, I mean, you know, you're going to be, oh, Jaws, okay, yeah, well, you know, it's called Jaws. How, you know, this is going to be phenomenal. And of course, you know, each movie got worse as they went through the series. You know, so I'm just not. I'm not a fan. I mean, you know, it's just you're taken out of the movie by the accent and just the fact that, you know, you think both of these guys working on PhDs, and I don't know. That, to me, that's not the biggest problem, but it's not an endearing quality to the movie for sure.
Well, what did you guys think of Miss Lynn Whitfield as Jake's, I guess, fiance, girlfriend, Louisa? I love her, and I feel like she was underused, and I feel like, along with Michael Caine, she is definitely punching above her weight class being in this movie at all.
I agree. I think at the time in her career, this probably seemed like a good move. I don't think she had starred in, you know, much of anything, and it was a pretty big role for her at the time in the mid 80s. And why not get paid to go to the Bahamas and hang out? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
What do
yeah,
you think,
now
Martin?
now in hindsight, we
Right.
know how phenomenal she is and what she went on to. Yeah, she's underused.
Yeah, I think it's the same as I said for Mario Van Peebles. You're getting a Jaws script coming across your desk, and, you know, like you guys have said, at that point, Lynn Whitfield was not what she is now, or what she was, you know, a few years ago. So, you know, why would you not sign on a dotted line to be in a Jaws movie in the Bahamas for a few weeks, getting paid? I mean, I understand the reasons for doing this film if you're an actor, but, you know, with hindsight, you look at the script and you look at the state of the effects, and, you know, it's not good. But, you know, if you're a younger actor and you're like, look, we've got this movie called Jaws. You may have heard of the original. Michael Caine's going to be in it. You know, you may have heard of Michael Caine. He's been in a few movies. He's quite famous. It's in the Bahamas. You know, it's in the Bahamas. I mean, you'd be a fool not to take it. It's just a shame that the movie didn't live up to the potential.
Right.
Agreed.
So then we get our look at the shark for the first time, because Ellen touches the water and gets a psychic vibe and connection to the shark? ?
No, I literally just you know, this is a podcast, so you can't see me, but I'm literally just shaking my head because the disbelief is so real. Like it's nonsensical. Yes, she has some sort of psychic connection to this shark.
So is this shark, is it like the grandson of the original shark, and it's like connected to the Brody family somehow? It kills Sean in Amity, and then somehow it knows where Ellen is going. Apparently he's a travel agent, Yeah, Ellen
Right.
books some tickets to the Bahamas, and so he swims from Amity Island down to the Bahamas.
Mhm.
Right. And he made damn good time
He
too.
made very good time, you know. So it just doesn't make any sense, you know. I mean, the whole psychic connection to the shark vendetta, it just doesn't make any sense, you know. Like I said at the beginning, if this was called The Shark in the Bahamas, it'd be much more fun for me. I could have put my mind into neutral and just sat back and let it watch me, for the same reasons I like the movies like The Meg and Deep Blue Sea. They're not great movies, but they're not trying to be Jaws. They are what they are, so you can enjoy them at that value. But
Right.
again, the fact this was called Jaws something is my biggest problem.
Well, exactly what you said. They shouldn't have tried to do the whole Jaws thing with it. They should have done something different. I feel like they should have fleshed out Hoagie, because in the Junkanoo scene with he and Ellen, he is trying to calm her down.
Great dancing, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it though? It gets you going. But he says to her, I know what you've been through. And then there's a pause where I can only assume they cut whatever he was going to say next to talk about why he knows what she's going through. And
Right.
it goes right to, don't worry, the nightmares will go away. End of scene. Don't you want to know Hoagie's backstory and what he's about? Doesn't he seem like the most interesting character in this movie, and we don't get it?
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. It always sticks out like a sore thumb. Who is this character? Obviously, in hindsight, now as a finished product, you see that really Hoagie exists to further Ellen's narrative, and he does his job, but that's all the character exists for. Then why make him so goddamn interesting? And why use Michael Caine? What's going on here,
Right?
people? There's an entire movie to be made about Hoagie and his backstory.
Yes, all of his Hoagie-isms, his little one line beginning of the story or the end of the joke that we get with him.
Mhm.
I want a movie. You know what? Let's pitch this. We need a Hoagie movie prequel. Like, what was his life before this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Michael Caine's a bit old now to play young Michael Caine, but yeah, that'd be something I'd be interested to see. But in that scene, what always struck me is I'm a little bit more concerned why Ellen is a Junkanoo dancing around with Hoagie when she just buried her son about 3 days before. She seems to not really care about little Sean.
She's had a few Bahama mamas. See, she's chilling out.
There you go. See, Michael Caine's getting her liquored up. He's, serving her Bahama mamas, and
That's right.
And I mean, come on, everybody has different coping skills for grief. And if someone says, how about a free trip to the Bahamas, and here's a charming guy to take your mind off things, have some free liquor because he's going to serve you Bahama mamas all day. I mean, some people, that's not terrible as far as learning to grieve and cope goes. I mean, go on vacation. My son died. I'm going to the Bahamas. Okay.
I think this movie, now thinking about it, is more, the whole series of movies is about how Ellen is a bad mother. Because even in Jaws, the first Jaws, she says, I've got Sean, when she blatantly hasn't. And Michael almost gets killed in the pond. So I think this is a series about how Ellen is a bad mother.
Just one bad decision after another.
That's right.
And then completely absent for the whole period in her son's lives when they're at SeaWorld. I mean, what was
exactly
that?
What kind of mother is that?
No. In the world of Jaws the Revenge, Jaws 3 doesn't exist.
Right.
Yes, in my travels online while researching this turd, I found that it was hyped as the third movie in the Jaws trilogy, a return to the roots. 1, 2, Jaws the Revenge. Yeah, let's forget Jaws 3 existed.
No, that's true.
I try and do that with both for Jaws 3 and 4. My Jaws movies end at the end of Jaws 2.
Yeah, that's most people.
Gotta say, I somewhat agree with Martin there.
So we're going to jump ahead now to the endearing scene of Michael and little Thea at the table, mimicking, as you mentioned earlier, Martin, the scene from Jaws. I have to admit, I still, in the moment, get the feels. I'm there for it. It's so sweet.
It's sweeter in the original Jaws.
Right.
Yes.
But I can understand what you're saying, and I think it's because, as we've said, Lance Guest, I mean, yes, you're in a turd of a movie being given not enough to work with as far as a script. However, he's a great actor. He's very believable, very human. And it's a moment of sweetness with his daughter. And it's Ellen seeing it as Martin living on through her son. And little Judith as Thea is just the cutest thing. So yeah, it's a sweet little moment, but it would work better if they hadn't already shown you flashbacks of the original scene to remind you, hey, remember when we did this before? That was a mistake.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's go to some jumping ahead here where Michael and Jake are out doing their snail tagging for their PhD. And he gets attacked by the shark. Mr. Shark shows up and attacks the mini sub, which I found out with a little bit of Googling was lifted from a deleted scene of Jaws 3D script. So
the idea of this little mini sub
and the attack on it. Yep. I just thought that was a neat little tidbit. But for me, it doesn't work in the movie because for some reason, the director, cinematographer, and editor all seem to miss the fact that you can see the gears under the shark.
Thank you.
Final
yes.
Really?
There is a huge problem where everybody who is behind the camera on this movie seems to be delusional and is seeing something completely different than what everyone else is seeing, which is stop with the broad, wide shots of this fake ass looking shark. It does not look as good as you think it does. The teeth look like paper. Like, what are you doing? What happened to the quick cuts and the darkness and the
from
quick,
the beginning,
and the shots of, just the head on shots or a quick shot from the side? They're delusional thinking this looks good. It looks awful. The shark looks so stupid. So stupid.
Nothing to add to that. You covered it pretty well. I mean, that was part of the charm of the original Jaws, and we all know because of the issues with the shark not working. We didn't really get to see the thing till 45 minutes in, and it still looked better in 1975. You're talking 12 years. The advances in special effects were pretty massive from the 70s to the 80s. But that shark, yeah, exactly, paper teeth, looked awful. No level of realism, which takes you out of the movie yet again because it looks so fake.
Yes, it would have worked if the director understood what to do with it. And in my notes, I specifically wrote in all caps, did he not watch the movie Alligator? Because that movie is a great example of how to take a turd of a prop and shoot the hell out of it and get really creative and make it work on film. These people were delusional.
That was a great movie, Alligator.
Yeah, it just, this shark looks so ridiculous. Well, the budget clearly went to the shark, and then you're showing way too much of it, buddy.
It's not believable, even when you try to, not that it's believable anyway, but they show him chase Michael into a narrow little shipwreck.
Mm-hmm.
How is this big ass supposed to be scary shark going to fit in there and then get stuck and swim backwards to get out?
Yeah.
Because that's a thing that sharks can do. I mean,
Clearly.
We're talking about a psychic shark who travels at the speed of light and can smell Ellen Brody all the way down in the Bahamas and follows her there. So in theory, it has vocal cords and it can swim backwards. The end.
I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's skip ahead to my favorite scene in the movie. I do have one in this big old turd. I love it. The banana boat scene.
Oh my gosh.
Until the end of the scene, when that woman purposely jams her leg into the shark's mouth. I'm scared. I'm scared when you see the fin chase them, the camera shot of them trying to speed away. They see it coming. Little Thea's screaming. I'm scared for them. And then you see the big damn thing come out of the water and the stunt woman has to shove her leg in his mouth. And it's like, wah, wah.
Now, was the shark at that point? Was the shark roaring? Because I do remember.
Not yet.
The end there, it was not yet. No.
Not yet.
Not
yeah.
yet.
No. Yeah. He doesn't grow vocal cords and learn to roar like a lion until they insert explosives. That happens much later.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes. Now I do have to say the banana boat scene. Like
yes,
I said,
please comment.
Last night I'm rewatching this movie, and my daughter, who has seen it before and doesn't really remember it amongst all of them. It kind of, they all muddle together after the first. So she's watching that scene and she's like, oh, wait a minute. I do remember this. Like, yeah. She's like, yeah, this scene scared the crap out of me. She saw it when she was maybe 11. And so her boyfriend, who has never seen this movie and is also 19 going on 20, happens to walk in right during this scene. And Jaden said, pause it. Caleb, watch this scene. So I showed him the banana boat scene.
For the first time.
And then paused it and said, what do you think of that? And he goes, oh, that shit was scary as fuck. Yeah, it looked kind of stupid, but geez. And Jaden's like, see, Mom, it's not just you. That scene, even now today, still holds up and is kind of unnerving. When you see the scale of the shark compared to the size of the people and this banana boat thing they're on, the terror on little Judith Barcy's face, it's scary. The image of the woman hanging out of the shark's mouth and the blood and it's thrashing and it's happening really slowly, it sticks with you. It's not great filmmaking, but that image is kind of scary and it sticks with you.
Let's get your opinion, Martin, because I know you have one.
Well, I feel like I'm gonna have to go back and watch this again, because you're starting to put a little nugget of doubt in my mind that scene is good, because I remember watching it last year with our anti-Jaws group and just hating it again. But now I'm like, well, am I missing something? If this this 19-year-old, 20-year-old young man is like, oh, that's scary, maybe I need to go back and watch it. I know a few people on the group have been like, not begging, but asking to show it again. So maybe you're going to break me down and have to watch it again, and I'm going to lose 90 minutes of my life again.
I gotta tell you, yeah, I had a couple of Gen Zers who were looking at that scene, being as jaded and unaffected as they are, and they're huge horror and gore fanatics. So for them to both look at that scene this many years on and go, yeah, that's kind of scary. That's a little unnerving to see.
I feel like it goes hand in hand with the Sean Brody kill in the beginning. It is edited, shot, cut, and directed in a way that has tension and excitement, and it gets you nervous. Where if you see the banana boat scene isolated, like Caleb did, like you said, he didn't have the whole rest of the movie leading up to it to taint him on how bad the shark actually looks.
Right.
That's a great point.
So I feel like the Sean scene and the banana boat scene were shot maybe by two different people. I don't know, but they have a different vibe than the rest of the kill. In the
right. So let's find out who was the AD. Maybe he's responsible for those two scenes. And it's like, maybe he should have directed the whole thing, because in the hands of the director, most of the scenes with the shark look absolutely awful. Those two scenes stand out, in my opinion.
That's how I felt too. That's why I wanted to discuss that scene, because it does stand out. So that's interesting, though, an interesting take to just watch that scene isolated. Okay, so we're going to cut to after that now. Ellen is upset that Thea was attacked, and she sets out on the boat to hunt down the shark and sacrifice herself to it, is the vibe that we're supposed to have, I guess.
That's not what I take. Martin said maybe she's out for revenge.
I just realized why it's called Jaws the Revenge.
There you go.
This time it's personal. Yeah.
So no, my takeaway as a kid, and then even now as a 40-something-year-old woman, it's really kind of a cool and powerful moment for her character and her as a woman and her as a mother, that she had this, what everyone was telling her, irrational fear that sharks have a vendetta against her family. She was so terrified of that and driven by fear that when she finally, the straw that breaks the camel's back, it's like, okay, enough of this damn shark coming after people I love, ruining my life, occupying my husband for how many years, ruining, she's like, to hell with it. I'm going to throw all the irrational and now rationalized fear I have out the window, because as a woman and as a mother and a grandmother, I'm pissed. And I'm going to jump in that boat, even though I was terrified to even get anywhere near the water. Her first instinct is just all that fear out the window. That's it, bitch. I'm coming for you. I always saw that as like, way to go, Ellen. Like, that's a really empowering moment for a woman, an older woman starring in a movie, her as a character. I think it's kind of a cool thing to see.
Okay. I saw it as she was going to maybe just sacrifice herself to try to end it. Like, fine, here I am. Leave my family alone.
Now I see it as her saying, all right, bitch, that's enough. Here we go. Me and you, let's do this.
Or she could just have moved to like London, for example, where there are no sharks, and then that would have put the end of it as well. I mean, I just just a third option, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's where her and Hoagie headed off to at the end of the movie.
Oh, so then we get the painful, Hoagie and Jake and Michael come in the plane to rescue and find Ellen. Hoagie lands the plane, the shark jumps on the plane. We think Hoagie's dead, and then he magically climbs aboard the boat in mostly dry clothes.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
That was
It's
painful.
probably a continuity error, because I do
You
know
think?
that the ending was reworked and then refilmed.
Yeah.
So
It was bad.
again, everyone behind the scenes on this movie clearly had no common sense.
So Ellen gets the sharks in her sights and she rams into it. And this is where you both had mentioned there's two different endings to this film. There's one where Jake goes to put the transmitter in the shark's mouth because they're going to put off an electrical impulse and drive it crazy, or however that works. And he falls into the shark's mouth and gets taken into the water. Ellen rams the shark and it explodes. It explodes. We're talking blood everywhere. And Jake lives in that ending. Jake pops up and ta-da, yay, like Richard Dreyfuss, we're supposed to get Richard Dreyfuss feelings like when he pops up and it's magically he's alive, yay.
No.
Right. Except that in all likelihood, he definitely would have bled out before they got rescued. But anyway.
So the other ending is the one that you guys love, where the shark magically grows vocal cords. They start setting off the transmitter inside of the shark, and he keeps popping up out of the water and roaring.
Yes.
Sharks with vocal cords. I don't know what that's about.
Well, but the funny thing is that's not even the most unbelievable thing in the film, right? I mean, okay, the shark roaring, okay, but then you've got the 25 things we've discussed prior to that, a psychic shark with a vendetta, all these other little things we mentioned, previously.
So you buy it? Is that what you're saying?
I don't buy it, but by that point, I'm weakened. I'm so weakened. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Let's just the shark's roaring. Great, let's go with it.
Exactly.
Like, I give up.
So can we just say, in my opinion, the most unbelievable thing in this movie is not that the shark can magically jump out of the water and has vocal cords. It's that these motherfuckers are living in the Bahamas. He's got a Jamaican best friend who tells him he's going to show him how to live the life. And yet Michael is drinking Miller Lite. He has Miller Lite in it. Has no one ever given this man a red stripe? Jake, you are falling down on the job. What the hell is wrong with you? You're drinking Miller Lite in the Bahamas? Fuck off. No, you're not.
Maybe Miller Lite had some kind of sponsorship in the movie. They paid for they paid for Jake's dreads or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And while we're back on Jake, can we just say what a total asshat of a character he is, because he seems to find humor in mocking Michael's fear of sharks, even though this is his best friend and his brother was killed by a shark 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's
Jake thinks it's cute to pretend the sound of the heartbeat is coming. Blump, 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 blump. Haha, it's the shark. Yeah.
It's like, no, when they were editing this, or when they finished editing and they said, okay, this is a finished product. I believe nobody sets out to make a bad film, right? Nobody says, well, I'm going to make the worst film ever made. But you've got to figure that the people that watched it, the Joseph Sargents, the editors, they got some, man, we got to do better than this. We got to go back and do more reshoots. It just wasn't a good film. But I think they just went off the fact, like, look, it says Jaws in the title. We're going to make $50 million if we put out the biggest turd ever known to man. And that's exactly what they did.
Exactly.
Well, Tommy Wiseau might have some words for you on worst film ever made, but
Tommy White. Well, but that's the thing. It's not called Jaws the Room, all right? It's called The Room. It's not Jaws Samurai Cop, right? I mean, these are standalone. And I love a bad movie. Don't get me wrong. I love a terrible movie, but I don't like a terrible movie when it's trying to be better than it actually is.
So someone out there needs to create a mashup. We need Tommy Wiseau in place of this shark. Someone get on it, make that happen, put it on YouTube, send us the link. Let's talk turkeys@yahoo.com. I'm dying to see it. Somebody make it happen. Tommy Wiseau is Jaws.
It'll be smile, you son of a bitch. Oh, hi, Mark.
I'm here for it. I'd watch the hell out of that.
All right, you goofballs. Let's get to the last 3 questions here. All right. These are going to be the fun ones. I want to know from both of you. Question 1, was Hoagie into drug running or some sort of shady business? How do you think he made his living?
Ooh.
I go with drug running.
I think he made his living marrying rich wives of dead police chiefs.
Oh, yes. See,
Oh,
there is a really interesting movie just waiting to be made. Just whatever you do, please don't cast Jude Law. I don't care if he looks like a young Michael Caine. Don't do it. But yeah, no, I think Hoagie's definitely into some shady shit. Flying around his little plane. Where does he even hail from? Is he an international citizen? You know, what's going on there? I think he might be some kind of mule.
good questions.
Yeah,
Those need some answers.
He's got plenty of money for the craps table, so.
You know what though? Yes, that's what I was thinking. And you know who I'm casting as young Hoagie in our prequel movie? It's that kid from The Kingsman, Taron Egerton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I'm casting as young Hoagie personally. If it's
You know what?
me.
Yeah, he was fabulous in Rocket Man. I'd be down to watch that movie for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
All right.
let's do it. Let's somebody put a call into him.
Question 2, Martin, we'll go to you first. Like we touched on earlier, do you think you would have enjoyed this movie more if it had stayed in Amity and not left and gone to the Bahamas?
If the quality was the same as it was in the Bahamas, they could have made Jaws on the moon. I wouldn't have liked it. You know, for me, it's just not a quality product. It's not a quality movie. So the Bahamas is just incidental. You know, really, that it's just not a good movie.
Fair enough. Nick, what do you think? I liked Christmas in Amity myself.
I liked it, but I think if they had gone in that direction, it would have been way too pandering, heavy-handed with the nostalgia. The actors that you saw in the original film would have been more heavily used, and in a condescending and pandering way. There probably would have been way more flashbacks. No. Stop. Just stop.
All right. So along that vein, 2 more questions quick for you. If you could be alone in a room for an hour with this script in 1986, what would you have changed?
Oh man,
Too
first and foremost, I would have given Miss Lorraine better material to work with, because I feel she was semi-retired at this point. She came out of retirement to make this movie. If she had better material to work with, yeah, because I think she's a great actress. The thing that sticks with me with this movie is her character, and her performance is very good to me, like with the crappy materials she's been given.
Yes.
So I would have been like, you know what, she's fantastic. Let's really write for her. I would have taken the whole psychic shark following her to the Bahamas element out of the equation and just made it a random shark showing back up in Amity again.
Do we even dare throw this question to Martin?
My answer is really simple. And I've said it already. I would just change the title. There's so much wrong with the movie.
Okay.
Like I said, I would have enjoyed this movie much more. I would have enjoyed it even a little bit if it was just called, like I said, Shark in the Bahamas or anything but Jaws. The fact that it has the Jaws franchise name in the title, that's a lot. Those are big shoes to fill, right? That's a big movie to try to follow.
Mm-hmm.
So you perfectly lead me to my 4th and final question for both of you. So Martin, go ahead and tackle it first. If we could erase, even though 3 is not part of canon, 4 is. If we could erase 4 from canon and jump off of the end of 2 and make a sequel that everybody is happy with, do you think they should do it?
That's a tough question. I mean,
not a remake, mind you.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of remakes. I don't think you can remake Jaws. I think there are certain films that you can't remake. It's like there's certain songs you can't hear by other singers, right? That it becomes so
True.
Iconic. And I think Jaws is one of those movies that's just iconic, and it is so of the time. And I think people of our age, it's such a fabric of our life. I mean, Jaws has been in my life my whole life, and it's something that I've just, I can think back to memories of Jaws. So I don't know about remaking it. I'm always up for a different take on a shark movie. I don't think we've had a serious shark movie for a long time. I mean, like I said, the Meg's a bit of fun. There's tons of throwbacks to Jaws, but it's not a great movie. Same thing with Deep Blue Sea. Sharknado is awful, but for what it is, it's fun, right? You know, you put your mind in neutral and you just let it happen, and you know it's awful. So I probably would not be down for a remake of Jaws or even another sequel. I think
Even
somebody
if we
mentioned
could maybe erase 4 from the canon and just skip it.
yeah, still probably not. 3 and 4, I don't really even consider them in my when I'm talking about Jaws. I mean, what I would like to maybe see is like maybe a 4.5 hour version of Jaws 1 and Jaws 2 combined. Do a little thing in the middle there to explain, you know, how Mayor Vaughn got re-elected. You know, what happened to Brody? Did he get that $10,000 that was promised to Quint? You know, just fill in some of those blanks. That might be a bit of fun, but
Right.
I don't know about another movie. I think I'm good. I'm good where we are.
You're good on Jaws. Okay, Nick.
I have to say, I wholeheartedly agree with Martin. There's a magic that gets lost once you push past the original story, the original actors, the original characters, the source material. Once you start pushing too far past all of that, it doesn't work anymore. And then you add in the fact that the first film has such a timeless quality, and Steven Spielberg, you know, is such a filmmaking genius, and that can't be replicated. Leave it alone. The first two, in my opinion, Martin Brody's story, Finn, we're done.
Right.
And
All right.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay. You've both summed that up. So I will, even though I disagree with you.
It doesn't change the fact that I am able to look at Jaws the Revenge as what Martin is saying, a movie. If you just take the fact that it's supposed to be Jaws out of the equation, I enjoy it on its own merits, what little they are. I think the character of Ellen Brody, I like her strength, her feminism.
Yeah.
Little Thea is adorable, and I appreciate those 2 great scenes.
Yeah.
That's about it. But yeah, I can watch it and appreciate those things.
Okay.
I don't consider it Jaws.
Well, if anybody has had their interest piqued and they have not yet seen Jaws the Revenge in all its glory, it is at the time of this recording currently available on pay streaming, Amazon Prime, Hulu, HBO Max, and YouTube. So I want to thank Nikki Flicks for joining me today to talk about this lovely turd of a film. Our special guest, Martin, if you would like to take a moment to maybe let people know where they can get some more Jaws goodness online.
Well, and thank you. I really, really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun, and I appreciate the invitation. Really, truly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So thank you for that. Yeah, I'm the admin of the Amity Jaws group. We are a Facebook group that really is about the Jaws movies, including 3 and 4, unfortunately, but you know, people like them. We actually just got Jeff Voorhees, who played Alex Kintner in the first movie, to join us for a Q&A. So we're really excited about that.
And that's little Alex Kintner from the first Jaws movie.
That's correct. That's exactly right. Yes, he's going to be joining us for a Q&A. So we're really looking forward to that. We have some competitions coming up. We have a movie night. We do a movie night once a month. Not even Jaws related. We started this last year during the lockdown, and we've kind of kept going with it. And we show really bad horror movies from the late 70s and early 80s, and that's turned out to be a really fun thing. You know, we just don't talk about Jaws on the page. We try to have other off-topic, you know, information and posts. It's just a fun group. We really enjoy it, and we'd love to have as many people as we can join.
Awesome. And I'm a member of that group, and I will testify right here and now, best Jaws group on Facebook.
We're very lucky to have you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you everyone for tuning in to Let's Talk Turkeys. So until next time, bye.
Thank you.
Hey listeners, Movie Miss here. Listen, I know you have a lot of options when it comes to podcasts, so thank you for listening to the show. I know everybody says this, but for a fledgling little show like ours that's just hanging on, you know, we just finished season 4, we're rolling into season 5, it would really help us if you could subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Good Pods. We're also on Pandora, Audible, Amazon Music. It would really help us grow the show and reach more people if you could subscribe and then rate and review, which is really the key part of it. Make sure to be part of our Bad Movie conversation by following us on social media. Interact with me on social media. I'm on Instagram at Movie Miss, which is movie_miss. The show is on Instagram at Let's Talk Turkeys. Also on Blue Sky at Let's Talk Turkeys and Facebook. We're on X. I'm honestly not sure how much longer I'm going to have the show on there, but currently the handle is at Gobble Podcast. Get it? Gobble, 'cause like a turkey. You can also chat with like-minded bad movie lovers in our Facebook discussion group. And like I mentioned, we're rolling into season 5. It is 2025. The show, it's been a wild ride, still going strong. So if you have a movie that you would like to hear covered on the show, let me know by emailing direct at Let's Talk Turkeys, all one word, at yahoo.com. Also, hit me up on socials if you want to be a guest on the show. Always looking for guests. I can assign you a movie, something we think is fun, or you can bring a movie that you think is a bad movie if it has a low Rotten Tomatoes score, or you just really don't like the movie but you like to talk about it. That's half the fun, I think. Again, this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. Without you, the show wouldn't still be kicking around. So thank you so much for hanging in there with us.
I'll be back.
Get the fuck out of here! Now I cannot.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Why don't you get the fuck out of here? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.